Particularly in the West, the first-person shooter genre is both a highly populated and popular genre in video games. It boasts a number of known franchises, including Doom, Quake, but even outside of these mega blockbuster tier of names, all of which have had ebbs and flows in their levels of popularity, there exist a great number of other venerated and worthy franchises to be known, which may have been forgotten in the information cycles, frequently circulating more games for us to purchase and learn about. One such iconic franchise is the Timesplitters franchise, recently announced to have been acquired by THQ Nordic in August of last year. The developer of the first 3 games, Free Radical Design, was a studio formed by people who used to work for the legendary game developer Rare. Rare is a name you're probably familiar with, especially for the games that they developed as a part of a partnership with Nintendo, including the Donkey Kong Country games, Diddy Kong Racing, and the first 2 Banjo-Kazooie games. Free Radical Design was founded in 1999 and throughout its lifetime worked on the Timesplitter franchise before it faced financial difficulties due to the poor sales of Haze. Free Radical Design's journey ended with them being absorbed by Crytek, with the studio then renamed as Crytek UK, and then years later being sold to Deep Silver in 2014, a video game publishing company. Incidentally, Koch Media, which operates Deep Silver, was also acquired in February of 2018 by THQ Nordic before THQ Nordic's announcement of acquiring Timesplitters. Timesplitters itself is a first-person shooter franchise featuring traveling through time wherein the players battle against the Timesplitters, an alien race set on destroying humanity. The first game was a PlayStation 2 exclusive title published by Eidos Interactive, and a launch title for both North America and Europe. Timesplitter's story revolves around missions set in different geographical locations and points in time. Some in the past, some set in a modestly distant future, and some set in a present-day period nearby the year 2000. And the idea of traveling to different points in time and locations in the world is consistent throughout the franchise, even if they don't follow the aforementioned categories. Some Timesplitters missions in other games take place in a very distant future, as an example. Besides the story mode, Timesplitters released with an arcade mode, an unlockable challenge mode earned after clearing the last story mission, and a level editor. The level editor would greatly evolve in customizability options as the franchise progressed. The arcade mode is a collection of multiplayer gameplay experiences that can be played with bots or with other players. The first game was developed by a team of 18 people and released to a positive average of critical acclaim. The next entry in the franchise is Timesplitters 2, releasing in 2002 across all of the 6th generation consoles with the exception of the Sega Dreamcast. As with the first game, Eidos published Timesplitters 2. This game featured 10 levels for its story mode campaign, featuring 2 Space Marines fighting against the Timesplitters, with this story mode able to be completed with 2 players. When Sergeant Cortez and Corporal Hart confront the Timesplitters at a space station to retrieve their time crystals, the Timesplitters scatter the crystals throughout time. As an added touch for the gameplay experience, when the players arrive in each time period, their characters assume a likeness that suits their environment. Timesplitters 2's arcade mode is revamped with 2 variations, Arcade League and Arcade Custom, and features 16 different gameplay modes. Arcade Custom allows for the players to configure their gameplay experience along different mode choices and a set of rules, including character speed. Network play was available for the PS2 and Xbox versions, but not for the GameCube version. Arcade League tests the players in a set of predefined matches tiered by levels of increasing difficulty, yielding unlockables and higher Arcade League rank for progress made throughout the mode. Arcade mode also boasts 125 different character options, all with different character stats. The level editor returns for this game, this time allowing for designers to make stages for the story mode in addition to arcade mode. All of this added up to a game that was even more critically lauded than the first one. The third and currently final entry in the franchise is Timesplitters Future Perfect, releasing for the same 3 6th generation consoles in 2005, but departing from the second game by being published by EA Games. In the story for this game, Sergeant Cortez has successfully collected the 9 time crystals as part of his mission from Timesplitters 2, but this time he is directed by the General to travel to the past to stop the Timesplitters from ever having existed, and is helped by Anya, the General's assistant, along the way encountering other helpful familiar and new characters. In this game, we learn about the evil Dr. Jacob Crow responsible for creating the Timesplitters. Online multiplayer returns, but is again not present for the GameCube version, and cooperative play for the story mode and Arcade League both returned for Future Perfect, and of course the level editor returns for Future Perfect. As with the second game in cementing a legacy of positive critical reception, Future Perfect 2 released to critical acclaim. So with what was apparently such a well-liked franchise, why is there nothing more to see from it? The ending of the third game's story mode would seem to indicate that no fourth game was planned, but it turns out that Free Radical had been working on a fourth Timesplitters game before they were bought out by Crytek. In 2012, Crytek had expressed interest in revisiting Timesplitters 4 after the project was placed on hold, if the fan demand was there for it. Spurred by comments from the then Crytek CEO in 2012 about crowdfunding a fourth game, a Kickstarter petition was created by fans to show support for the franchise, encouraging Crytek to continue work on Timesplitters 4 even if it necessitated crowdfunding. There was an HD version of Timesplitters 2 planned for release being worked on during 2008, but it never materialized. Free Radical Design co-founder Steve Ellis thought that the release of the game could fuel interest for a revival of the franchise and the introduction of Timesplitters 4, and such an idea of re-releasing either the second or Future Perfect could serve as viable options, especially since both Timesplitters games do not lack for content or opportunities for players to engage their creative side. It would be absolutely beneficial for online play to be made available for any HD release, and online multiplayer would probably be a necessity for a fourth Timesplitters game. But with the accessible tone, story, and characters, if executed just so, Timesplitters is just the sort of franchise that could be successfully revived. That it already has multiplayer experience built into the game packages is a significant plus to the argument to revive the franchise. All in all, the nice thing about the idea of reviving Timesplitters is that a lot of the difficult work in reviving it is already done. The basic formula for a Timesplitters game is already complete. Free Radical Design jam-packed each game with content, and online multiplayer and a level editor are easy sells for player engagement. The challenge isn't so much in charting a course forward. The big challenge lies in convincing relevant personnel to jumpstart development effort for either an updated release of a previous game or for a fourth game. It's hard to say which types of games that a revived Timesplitters franchise would be competing with, besides just the glut of options available to gamers, because Timesplitters is so distinct from other franchises in the first-person shooter genre. But it's that distinct identity that should help it stand out from the competition and enable it to build a modest following on top of what it already has. Be sure to tell us what you think about the Timesplitters franchise. Do you have a favorite funny moment in the games? Do you think that the franchise should begin its revival by re-releasing a past game, or immediately starting with a new entry? As always, thanks for watching. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from GamingBolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.